1.
Okay, so we had the NFL strike in 1987. NFL players lashed out against the NFL management as a result of bad policy, bad pension, bad free agency, and their respective organizations across the board. They were not respected at all. As fans watching, it just looks like fun and games, but when you really get down to it, they didn't really have anything as far as control. The NFL had the power and the money, and they were just kind of subject to whatever the NFL decided. And so as a result, they went on strike, and a bunch of them left. They just decided, we're not going to play. And at the end of the day, they decided as a union, if they didn't get better contracts, better pay, better pension, they weren't going to play. And that was key for their revolt, for them to stick together in that. So basically, while they left, these guys called scabs filled in. It was literally just people on the street, just regular, everyday people who decide, hey, I'm going to try out for the NFL. And they were really influential, a part of, especially this year, as a part of the NFL history forever. Especially, we'll talk about it in a little bit, who won the Super Bowl that year, things like that. But the fans, it was kind of mixed what they thought of them. It was a little bit biased, I think, as far as if they were really bad, or if their team had previously had really good players, really iconic figures who everybody knew, it just wasn't the same. Like, you have somebody off the street filling in for whoever, but it's someone, you have their jersey, you followed them like all your life, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't really care about this team anymore. And so people felt this way. They thought the Scabs sucked, they wanted them gone, they were ashamed of the NFL, and they wanted their players back. And the only way that was going to happen is if the players got what they wanted. So you have all this drama mixed into what the players are trying to do, and really, there were a few organizations who loved the Scabs. Those were the fortunate ones who were able to get some good groups together, some good squads, and especially teams like the Washington Redskins, who didn't have any of their veterans who left crossing the picket lines. And crossing the picket lines is where we talk about the union of players striking versus the new guys. And so the idea was that if no one crossed the picket lines, then they would get what they wanted eventually. But the Redskins, nobody ever crossed the picket lines. There were other teams that did and eventually broke, but they had a really good squad, and they won all 3 of their games. And when it all unfolded and eventually all the players came back, the Redskins actually went on to win the Super Bowl. And so you see just how important some of these Scabs were to certain teams' success and history, where it may not have been that way if it had just been the regular players. And so this whole deal kind of affected the entire NFL for a whole year, and the outcome was different than it would have been. And so it's just kind of cool to see how much this event altered things, and you kind of wonder what it would have been like. And at the bottom of it, it's really just there was a lot of political strife. At the end of the day, it's just football, and people who don't care about sports might kind of blow it off. But honestly, for people who really take it seriously, they made it a political issue. They had a problem with it, and they wanted what they wanted. And at the end of the day, the result of the strike was a little bit mediocre. As a result of them crossing the picket lines, as a result of the players who struck crossing the picket lines, that's where the mediocre results came in, because some of them were like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done trying. The NFL kind of started to break them, and they did end up getting free agency. The NFL kind of they kind of appeased them for just a little bit. In 1989, the NFL came up with the idea that you could have 37 men that were yours, and you could have the other ones you had to let them be free agents. And then in 1992, they eventually went to court with that, and they sued the NFL and ended up getting free agency. They ended up getting more money, a little bit, better benefits. But at the end of the day, the NFL still kind of had control. So the bottom line is the NFL had control, but it is a mark in history, and these guys did make an impact forever.